All right, welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. I'm Nickie Robbs. I'm a real estate agent serving Tacoma, Puyallup, and a few other places if you ask nicely. This is just real life real estate, and this is my good friends Jason and Hannah. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of them selling one house and combining 2 houses, so I wanted to have them on and tell a bit of their story. So welcome Jason and Hannah. How you doing?
Good.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. So professional. So yeah, just made my podcast right there with that comment. So about a year ago, we met and talked about what is possible. What if we sold Jason's house? And I believe you're already living with Hannah, and the family was pretty consolidated, but there were still 2 mortgages happening. So can you talk a little bit about where you were at a year ago and why 2023 looked like a good time to sell?
So we were in the stage of our relationship where we were trying to think about the future and what we wanted for us as a couple, as a family, as 2 households coming into one. And it just seemed like the future, we wanted to work towards that. So we were looking at our finances. What are we spending our money on? If we're spending more time together than we are apart, why are we doing that? So we started talking about it. We started talking with you, Nickie, as like, okay, how does this process need to look? How long do we think it's going to take? What do we need to start doing so that we can make this possible in the near future? And so that was a lot of the reasonings. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I think it got postponed a little bit because it's always a little stuff when you're moving in. A big thing was my dog. He was a rescue, and there was a little bit of an issue with his temperament with new people and stuff. So just kind of got to do it slowly. And when he goes from just me to the 2 of us, which wasn't that bad of a transition, but then to add 3 kids involved, you just got to be safe and be conscious of both of their mentalities and temperaments and stuff. So we had to kind of contemplate how we were going to make that happen. And then in addition, she had a dog and a cat, 2 cats. So, it was a lot for him to just get thrown into and then be like, you're going to be fine, buddy. Just live with it.
Right.
So there was a break-in process, and so it was like introducing her daughter. It was just like a longer process. So once we got that kind of like, okay, he's going to be fine with Caden, and then we brought, when the kids went away to their dad's house, we brought her dog over, and they got along really well once they, kind of sorted out who's alpha and stuff. So I think it's just a lot of it got moved around and postponed because we're like, yeah, we're going to move in together. Let's do it today. And then we were like, oh, but what about him?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with him? And then what are we going to do with like a lot of other little stuff? So I think when people start getting to that process of we need to consolidate 2 different households, it's a lot of the little stuff where it's like not only like whose pots and pans are we keeping, but it's like what other animals or people are we involving in this situation, how those are going to combine and work out together. Yeah.
Well, how's that gone now that you're more than a year into it?
Good.
All the pets are still good?
Yeah.
And the kids are still good?
Yeah, they just got back from being gone for 3 months, and he didn't care and knew everything. Oh. And we got another dog because
life wasn't crazy enough.
We hate carpets, and we just wanted to make sure that we had the nastiest carpets on.
We don't like sleep,
That's awesome.
And she had to have a husky, so it just talks all the time.
Oh, because you didn't have enough noise.
No.
No, not with 3 almost teenagers. Teenagers,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that we didn't think about were like, what stuff do we really need to get rid of? I know you were really organized and didn't have a lot of clutter, but I had a lot of clutter. So sometimes I think just thinking about that ahead of time of like, okay, what stuff needs to happen, because that also put us further from our goals, because there were certain things that I had in the house that we had to get rid of first, and we've been a little bit more prepared because you're just so excited to start that process, and like that you really have to take the totality of both households and those little, those little things. It's those little like, okay, what space needs to be where. Like in the process of us moving to one household, we changed how we had the room set up so that we could
the room we're sleeping in.
Yeah, because I was upstairs and then we moved downstairs so that we could accommodate the space, knowing that, you know, you came from having your own big house to coming and having to share a space with a lot of people. So
I was
how do
working
we create...
nights too. I work nights, so we wanted to be more away from people so that they can still be kids.
Right.
And I can sleep while they're, you know, being kids. Which, you know, that's another thing you just got to get used to is like if you do work nights or if you're just the adult that needs to sleep in later, that like they're just gonna be kids, man. You can't, you know, you can't. You can yell at them or take it over the top, but kids are gonna be kids, and you just gotta live with it, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, try and teach them to be responsible and respectful, but at the same time, they're gonna, you know, they gotta have fun.
They're gonna have their friends over. They're gonna be yelling at the beginning.
So there were so many.
I think the one thing that nobody talks about
is
kind of like the minor things in surgery that they don't tell you about, but is you don't realize how much stuff is broken. Until you start moving it around. So like it wasn't just my stuff, it wasn't just her stuff, it was just, hey, we know we're moving this stuff from one room to another.
Right.
And we're like, oh, we're keeping your dresser or your whatever. And we go to move it, I'm like, this is garbage. This is literal garbage. Like,
oh my gosh.
It looked good, but once I start taking it apart, or once you start taking it apart, it's like, no, this is literal garbage.
Oh my gosh.
We need to get new stuff because mine's broken, and we knew that, but yours is also broken.
And we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know.
Right?
So
mostly because we're just living with it all the time. It still works.
Yeah. Well, and if you're not having to move it, well, and like we noticed,
or when you move it,
like,
it just comes apart.
You know, it's like, oh, this can't be moved by just one person.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to wait to move this. So I think those are things, that we didn't think about that would have helped that process so that we could just move everything all at once, because we did a lot of moving of things in different sections. That doesn't make sense.
No, because I had
different stages for sure, because I would come over to your house and some things are gone, and then I'd come over again and some different things are gone.
Well, and we did a lot of like, because we were just moving from one town to another town. So in the past, when I've moved, you moved your whole house, so everything gets packed at once. And when
if you forget something in Hawaii, you're not like gonna go drive back.
There's no getting it back. It's gone forever. And so you're trying to move it in between working and, you know, and I wish we did a little bit more of that, like taking time to do like 2 runs at one time instead of, because I think we did one major time with people because we knew we didn't want to take a lot of our friends' times to move, because we are very capable of moving stuff. We have teenagers who are capable of helping. I have teenagers who are helping.
You consolidated
No, we were doing the heavy lifting. You mean me and your daughter were doing the heavy lifting?
Yes, and the painting. You guys painted a lot.
Yeah.
Though I did all the cleaning.
No, you did.
You
did.
So.
Yeah.
So
this is why Caden had to go back over it. No, I'm just kidding. You did good. We all did good. We all did good.
Nice. So 1 year ago, we're looking at, I think 2023 is going to be the time we're ready to do this. You had a bunch of hurdles, like you said, like, oh, we are consolidating pets too. They have to transition, the kids have to transition, and you took your time to do that well, sounds like. And then we came down to, okay, we're ready. And then when that happened, things didn't have a whole lot of hiccups from my perspective.
No.
Do you guys remember anything that surprised you?
I think for me, the thing that surprised me, and it wasn't necessarily probably something that we could have changed, was the fact of everything that the other person wanted once we got it. Because even when we got a couple of the offers, it was like, oh, just cash, because I don't want to, you know, I know I'm going to fix this and this. And so kind of, even though we had talked about like, oh, these are things that we know are probably going to be problems, there still was other things that we didn't think that would be a problem, and just kind of having that, of course, this is once we started getting the offers in.
Yeah.
But
it is a surprise when it's your home and you're like, I'm totally aware of all the problems. But then other people come in and they see different problems. And it's not fun at that moment to be like, oh, but it's not really a problem. As a homeowner, I'm willing to live with it. But everyone else comes in with fresh eyes and a different perspective. And sometimes, well, okay, do we renegotiate? Do we make concessions that allows them to fix it sooner? And that was part of the negotiation process on that as well. And it was just, okay, what's the best fit for you guys in getting your goal of this off your plate? And how can we meet what they're asking for if we can meet it? We made it, and we got the house off your plate within a reasonable time frame for just about the price that we were going for. So that worked. Who else put in?
Oh, you're making it sound weird to me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It went by like super fast.
It did go fast.
I got what I was asking for, so I don't understand why you're like hazing over it a little bit.
Okay.
Like, because we got a bunch of offers, and we basically cherry picked the one that we wanted to work with. Because there was another one that was like, oh, he was like more, I want this, this, and this, and it was kind of like, oh, right. And we had talked, and you're like, I think we can do. I think this is gonna be more headache than it's worth, and so then we didn't do it, and that worked. We went with another.
And then we had an all cash one, which would have been faster.
So I mean, I don't know what you were saying. You made it sound like it was like difficult or something. It wasn't at all. Like it went by crazy fast, and like there's always at the end. There's always these like they try and sneak in like. I mean, when you're gonna buy a house, you're gonna try and do it too. Like everybody does it, but I mean, I this isn't my first rodeo, so it was like, you know, it went by really fast, and it went by really like the least complicated I've ever been through.
And that was part of my goal too, is that I want you to get it off your plate within a reasonable time frame, and I think we got it off within 30 days.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was started to finish in a month.
It's not like it was 60 days.
No, I think my first house was like 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
Just going back and forth, and then having to re-sign and sign. I had to miss work.
Oh, that's terrible.
You know, and because I was always working nights, so I had to miss work because I had to go sign stuff and then go back and re-sign it, and then you know, oh, we're done there. We have to go like. So this was weirdly fast.
So we had
where I'm waiting for the rug to get pulled out from underneath me.
In our first weekend, we did have multiple offers. One was cash. It was a little
was like the next day. Like we put it on. It was like that day. It got like
we got
everything was happening fast.
That was the goal because you know let's make it disappear. So you know no,
you definitely David Blaine that whole thing. Remember when you had a house? Here's your check. Get out of here.
Right? Oh yeah, that was good. So we had multiple offers in our first weekends. That was great. And then it was just the perspective, really, of this buyer thinks that this needs to be fixed, but this buyer thinks this needs to be fixed. Yeah. And then we had to pick which one is the right offer with all the different things that they're asking for. And we still made it work with the goal price and the goal time. So
no, I got everything on it.
Yeah, at the end, we were really happy. Well, and I think a lot of it was when we broke it down and said, okay, well, this is what they're wanting, but financially and like when we come out of it, how much difference is this? Because I know there was a couple of things at the end, which, like you said, and if you're buying a house, you want to make sure you're getting your money's worth.
Yes.
So if there's things that you know that can be fixed before you move in, and you can negotiate it. Why not, right?
Yeah.
And we were also thoughtful of that too. Of like, well, if we were the ones, would we want, you know?
Yeah.
So what can we do? And I know most of the time I've come from like moving into a place, not that I've bought in a lot of houses, but it's been more moving in instead. So on the other side of it instead of the selling side of it. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was really when we really just crunched the numbers or just looked at it as a whole of like, oh, well, you know, yeah, they're looking for that $2,000 or that $8,000, but this is it's really only this much. This is what it really looks like.
Well, off the top,
So. You know, it was really great that you kept that perspective of at the end of the day, when it's closing day, this is how much we're walking away with. and how much is that number really going to affect us?
Yeah.
Is this killing the deal? Do we want to go back on the market?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we could have made it a lot more.
You could have been more dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, but then again, like we're talking about, like in the worst case scenario, I think it was the roof one, right? Where that was like the $8,000 or something like that. And if I'm on the market for 4 months, I'm now in the hole.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm not living there. I'm just paying for this. So do I care about the $8,000? No.
Right.
Let's get this handled now, and I'm just going to save money, not pay for 2 places at one time. So.
And that's where understanding the goal is move quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So your goal was move quickly. Someone else's goal may be
highest price.
Yeah. What's the best outcome for me?
Yeah.
Well, and we didn't have time to fix the roof.
Yeah.
Because that was that, like, things like that. There, you know, sometimes when a seller is coming or a buyer is coming in, they're asking for things that you just can't accomplish in the time frame. You know, we didn't want it to be 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's how long it was going to take.
And they didn't probably want it to be 6 months either.
Yeah.
So, and I think, you know, and also with having them pick the people who were fixing it, it's like, you know, I know that made me more uncomfortable. It was like, well, wait, how do I pay them? I want to do it this way. And they're like, well, no, we want it done this way. And it's, you just have to know what battles to pick. It's kind of like parenting, you know?
It is. It is. I'm really glad you weren't buying at the same time.
Yeah,
right.
that made it a lot less
because
stressful.
we were only selling, then you could really focus on just these requests and not have to juggle the requests on the other side that you were making to some other seller. So that was actually a little bit simpler.
Yeah, and it made our support team, we could be closer knit and it's just a smaller group so that we're not juggling all the balls at one time. Yeah. So it made it a smoother transition, less stressful, less even on our pocket, you know?
Yeah.
So
who else was on your team that helped make this happen? We discussed this before the podcast, but we're going to make sure we mention it because you guys leaned really heavily on your close-knit family.
Yeah. You and our really close friends and family, I think, were really...
Larry and Rob and... Actually, I think it was just Larry and Rob.
Yeah. And
they weren't, like, actually related to us.
Yeah.
Everyone else is really...
Yeah, we kept it really... We were lucky that we could keep it really small.
Again, it was just me, so
I
didn't really have a whole lot to move.
Well, the dog was not a small
no,
but it's not like having, you know, 2 people with kids
like
or
full,
or, you know, or a bigger family or, you know, there's a lot of different types of people looking at.
But there were still multiple trips to the dump. There was multiple trips moving back and forth.
That was just her place. That was the hardest part, was making room in her place just for my stuff to go in.
Okay, then let's talk about it. What was the hardest part of getting into the house?
Garage. The garage.
Yeah, is making sure that all the space was...
TLC just refused to go, so...
They did, huh?
I had to go in myself and just...
You couldn't hire a show to come over.
Hoarders wouldn't go. Hoarders was like, no way. We're out.
Never underestimate.
So in consolidating homes, that is a huge consideration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if we went back, we would be more organized on that. Even as I would be more organized. I know you did your part.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
Yes, she does.
I would have been more prepared on my end because that was made for a more frustrations of like, oh, where are we sticking this?
Yeah.
Because we don't have space for it, and like.
So that kind of postponed it too, because I couldn't take anything anywhere. Yeah. Until I made room for it.
It's hard to move out when you can't move in.
Right. So that again, that's just one of those things you just gotta kind of mentally put your stuff in that house and then go, where's the other stuff gonna go?
Yeah. That's tough. So do you have any advice for other people looking at consolidating housing?
I think the main focus is just remember why you're doing everything. And so when you do get frustrated, you're like, this is just temporary. Yeah. You know, this is gonna be so much better. Just gotta put a little bit of sweat, blood and tears involved, and then once you're done, you got this whole family and you're good to go from then on out.
Right.
Yeah. And then you know, you can make that space your own, even though one person is coming into that space or one family is coming into that, you know, because you are joining two things, but you want it
two
to be
households, one family coming together.
you want it you want it to feel like it's everybody's, not like that people are losing some of their space or someone is.
Yeah, you guys are all up in my space.
So they didn't
Which
lose
is
any
why-
space.
Me and my poor dog don't know what to do.
Which is why we reorganized how the house was and our space, so that we could make it our own,
right?
And not just like, oh, I'm just moving into this house.
Right.
It's not like you had an empty room and you're like, hey, roomie,
Yeah.
this is yours now.
Yeah. No. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. If you've got any questions about buying or selling in Puyallup, please contact me right through the website or through the email, and all the contact information is right there. Thanks so much for listening today.